This video describes about the process of creating a new user in the system. So as a system administrator, this administrator user should be able to create a new user. So under the administration side of things, scroll down to the very bottom. Second from the bottom, we will see this users and group menu. So we will be landed by default, will be landed into the users list. So these are the list of current users in the organization. So this screen will tell us the detailed information about what's their username and email, display name, how many times they have been signed into the system before, and when was their last sign in, and was there any failed attempt on their login. And on multiple failed attempts, the system will automatically log that system. And if that user has been logged out, when that was logged out, staff member, if the corresponding staff member data is disabled or not, whether it's two-factor authentication enabled. So these are the information that we can see on this users menu. Now, Curite has got a different authentication login options. We can use password username option, or we can use a LDAP, or we can use a single sign-on SAML login as well. So depending on the type of sign-in option that we have chosen for that specific organization, this process may slightly vary. What I'm showing you in this video is a process of creating a new user for the password method. If the users are logged into the system by using a username and password, these are the steps that you have to follow in order to create a new user in the organization. We will see these two options at the very top, which is called a new user and new staff member. So these two buttons are often confusing for our clients. So let me give you an introduction to this concept of having a new user or a staff member. In bigger hospitals, they really don't prefer all the users. I mean, we won't even call them users. All staff members logging into the system. However, they need a record of all of their staff members in the system. It is for the purpose of having assessment performed on a staff member record, or for example, an incident happened, they need to create an incident report in the system. So there will be chances some multiple staff members were involved in that incident. In that instant, they need option to choose a specific staff member. So if you are creating such a record that's purely a staff member, they shouldn't be able to log into the system. That's where we choose this new staff member button. But if you are creating a user, which means he or she will get a specific username and password in order to log into the system. So in general terminology, if the first thing that we have to ask ourselves, confirm with our client, is whether they need all of their staff members to allow logging into the system or not. If they say, yep, so these are the only button that we have to choose, which is new user. But if they say, no, only very few of the users should be able to log into the system by using their own username and password, rest can have a staff member record, doesn't mean that they have to be logged in, then we'll be choosing this new staff member button. So by clicking the new user button, system will give us option to fill in the authentication username and password. We can choose a username and password, confirm the password and email address for that specific users. The authorization section is the next section, which is the most important section. We have to be really careful here. What type of user, what the nature of the users whom we are creating here? Are they a provider, are they nurse, or are they receptionist? So depending on the type of user whom we are creating, we have to make sure we are assigning them against the right group. A specific user can be part of one or multiple group, but they should be part of at least one group in order to log into the system. The reason for that, if we are assigning them against multiple group, all the permissions which are enabled in both of these groups will, or in all of this group, can be performed by that user. However, if you are assigning a user to only one single group, only those permissions enabled, that specific user will get only those permissions enabled in that chosen group. So depending on the nature of the users, a user can be part of one or more than one group. However, they should be part of at least one group in order to log into the system. So following some options, correspondence view, correspondence type filter. When we talked about the options available on the user profile, we have already talked about customizing this view. So if it is a system administrator who is setting up the user profiles, they can set this by default. Then the individual users can always alter this to reflect the way that they need. And then their first name, last name, basic information, staff member category, are they a system administrator or a clinician or a non-clinician, whatever it is, choose their right staff member type as well, and the user preferences, and hit create user. So once we create a user and we circulate the password, username, and password, they should be able to log into the system. So once they successfully log into the system, we should be able to see this number one, let's say first login. So always before circulating this password or username to the individual users or to our clients, it's always important that we have to perform this initial testing to make sure the username and password combination works and we can sign in the system successfully. And then if we need to, at any point in time, if we need to disable a specific user, for example, in order to disable this specific user, there are several steps that we can do. There are two steps, basically. First thing, take them out from all groups so that that specific user cannot be logged into the system, and we can just check the disabled button as well. So these are the two options that we can make use in order to disable a specific user in the organization. And this screen itself will tell you whether that specific user is disabled or enabled. So at the point in time when there is a contract terminates or a job, a specific staff member leaves the organization, it is highly important that the system administrator should disable and take that specific user from all groups so that they cannot be logged into the system thereafter. Thanks for watching.